somebody's car alarm went off in the middle of the night repeatedly. Mm-hmm. Like a block over. Because at 3 a.m, Reed went outside to see if it was our cars. Nope. Just wouldn't go off.
Wait, cars plural?
Pardon?
You have 2 cars?
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Like one each.
What is the
Whoa,
what's the shtick with our Patreon money? No.
I have to commute.
No.
Whoa.
This is a man speaking. I'm kidding. The future is female.
Weekly Arash gets canceled.
Well, okay, it was good. Good, well, that's about it.
We get a lot of shots. Everybody come to the net. We just have to get more and more pucks to the net.
I'm about to listen to Pucks on Net.
We used to talk about in Vancouver getting pucks on net.
Pucks on net.
Getting pucks on net.
What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
Pucks on net.
Pucks on net.
Just got to get Pucks on Net.
Pucks on net and driving and making a hard night on them.
Live on tape from a myriad of locations. This is Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast that doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats. Shit. A Vancouver hockey podcast that doesn't talk about fantasy, but probably will talk about fancy stats. A podcast that doesn't feel like editing that out. Another satellite hot stove edition of the podcast for at least the next 6 weeks. My name is...
yeah, right.
Unless we do it out an outdoor patio.
Yeah, I'm gonna go by 25 feet XLR cables and yeah.
Holy shit. I know we're in the middle of an intro. Amazing idea. Why don't we just do it in the middle of Costco? There's no rules. It's fine. Or a food court in a mall.
Wild West, baby. Anything goes. Just make sure you're at least 4 feet away. Wait, I thought it was 6. They don't even know. My name is Ryan Chapp. I'm going to be your host for the evening, coming to you from my West End studio apartment, a stone's throw away from the pump jack. If you head east to the House of Greed, I hope if you live in the area, your car was not broken into. Geeta, how are you doing this bright, fine evening?
I'm doing all right. A little sleepy, but not too bad. Happy to be here.
Yeah, that's great. That's what we're looking for. Anytime Dr. Bonnie brings the hammer down on difficult extensions, it's usually a very gloomy day. So it's bright, it's sunny, and I went on my old man walk. I didn't feel too bad, but yeah, whatever. And if we head east over the Iron Workers Memorial Bridge to the village of Deep Cove, to the Prince of Pomegranate, and then for a brief time this afternoon, the pastor of Pomegranate Church, Arash. How are you doing?
Oh, it's great on this lovely day in the Lord's country here at Pomegranate Church and Cathedral. Where our pizzas are the communion. Come down and repent. It's never tasted so good. Literally, for part. I was on Twitter.
As of tomorrow, you have to eat their pizzas on the patio or in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, please. Oh man, today was a fun day of just being like, oh, so like. What about Costco? What about food courts?
Where am I gonna get my deconstructed coffee now?
Holy shit, dude. I'm gonna take a hockey stick to our Americano machine. I have a feeling someone's gonna come in and ask for it, and I'm just gonna absolutely just lose my gourd. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna be like, I know it was funny in a brief time period.
One, we keep hyping it. And 2, they also get the Pucks on Net discount if they say they heard about it on the podcast.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The reason these restrictions were in place was not because of, restaurants, spreading, COVID spreading at restaurants or super spreader events. It was because of the gridlock and the shoulder to shoulder people flooding into Pomegranate to get deconstructed Americanos after hearing this influencing podcast was so overwhelming. Bonnie just said, we got to shut this down. She said,
You're basically the Whistler of pizzas, Arash.
Yeah, I'm the All right. Welcome to Pomegranate. I just got myself a work visa to be here because I heard it was fun. And I love making pizzas. No, it was a mixture. I just love how, like, the problem with COVID in British Columbia is apparently people ages of 20 to 39. Cut it out. What are you doing? Cut it out, even though you make up majority of the goddamn workforce in retail, restaurants, and you're being like, you have to be open. Sorry, you have to go to work. You can't. Bleh. So we're that problem. Mm-hmm. But also, like, it's just, I have this feeling, deep down inside, that if I made the restaurant completely be like a deconstructed Americana restaurant, just being like, this is the only thing we have, dead ass, there'll be a line wrapped around the cove. Just because people, they seem to love it, they're really curious, and I'm going to charge like $24 for it.
Speaking on behalf of myself, somebody who has gone to hipster haunts and bought $21 hamburgers on a 4-item menu, mm-hmm. I'd probably be first and second in line just because I needed to make sure I got my fill. So from a business standpoint, Arash, I think we should dive in on this. We should dive in head first. I also want to dive in head first in thanking the listeners wherever they got us from, and we hope that they're following us on Twitter at PucksNetCA or PucksNetCa. That Ca is brought to you by the PP1 podcast. I think their stay here will be up soon. And if you do want to support the show monetarily, you want to watch this entire podcast in video, really get a taste of Arash's facial emoting, and just listen to us gab, you can head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet, where you can pledge a couple of bucks. $5 a month to be exact. That will get you access to all our bonus content. But we're starting off the show here a little loose. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Canucks are not playing for an entire week. Mm-hmm. They are healing in the sense of Elias Pettersson. He will continue to heal long after this week is over.
Does it feel a little like playoff time? Everyone else is playing. The sun is shining in Vancouver, but we're not really watching any hockey.
We're like, ooh, the draft. Ooh, free agency. There's this couple of months where, other teams are playing, but ooh, the draft and like the ping pong balls. And wondering like, oh, are we going to pick Luke Hughes? And then they end up picking 31st because Gary's just like, hey, fuck you. And just... fuck you, Pacific Northwest, kicking the nuts.
We need some more first-round draft picks in the Metro New York area. I'd like to just say, for those watching on Patreon, Geeta just stood upright, and she is wearing our original Pucks on Net T-shirt that I rigged a contest of a local screen printer to win. So thanks for supporting the team, Geeta.
Wow. Mm-hmm. White privilege. Look at that, where you just can rig it. Meanwhile, people maybe that are working like 4 jobs and we're like, hey, this contest, oh my God, amazing. I would love to get some T-shirts printed for my son or daughter for their birthday. And then was just like, put it in. And then Ryan's like...
Wait, on the flip side of that, I'm also wearing an 8-year-old shirt.
Yeah, so way to go, Arash.
Can we have one episode where I'm not canceled? I just feel...
You get canceled, I get race shamed. I was just trying to say, if you do want to buy a new Pucks on Net shirt, you can just head onto the link tree in the bios and all our social medias, get yourself a new brand new one to cover your self up with.
That Big Hog shirt, dude, I'm telling you. Fucking metal.
Hot seller.
So dope.
Hot ticket.
So dope.
Thank you. It came to me in a moment of sheer creativity. It's like when Keith Richards woke up in a dream with this tune of Satisfaction, and he wrote it. He started singing it in a tape recorder. Me saying, "Hey, here's a really dumb T-shirt idea that's gonna work." So similar on the creative.
All right. So just slow down there, Shop.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a. Yeah, me making a shirt is the same as Mick Jagger writing Satisfaction. Well, did Mick Jagger actually write Satisfaction?
It was Keith Richards, but slow down there, Sonny Jim.
It's fine. It's fine.
I'm sure we'll have the same same longevity.
Yeah, it was great. Speaking of music, apparently it was really funny. I booked my dad's vaccine, so he's like on April 9th, he's getting it. But along with the vaccine is a copy of U2's newest album, which comes with it. And we're like, what? It's like, the crazy thing is, it's in the vaccine. So when they give it to you, you can just play it. And we're like, can we have it without? Is that fine? And they're like, no, actually.
Can you delete it off the
Bono's
cloud?
actually
No.
Bono is actually in there. There's a little nano machine of Bono.
That's why if you're 55 and older, you can't, or younger, you can't have the AstraZeneca. It has something to do with that album.
Yeah, no, it actually has a copy of Justin Bieber's "Yummy" on it, and it's just like.
Man, I will say this. It has been, there are tumbleweeds going around Canucks Twitter, around Canucks media. There is not news. You know it's a slow week when your biggest story of the week is Travis Hamonic saying he doesn't want to waive his no-trade clause to be a rental at the deadline, which, if you know anything about Travis Hamonic, that's perfectly acceptable because he has put a premium on living in Western Canada to be close to his family. And he doesn't want to go to Carolina, which was the team that called on him. So
okay.
I'm fine with that.
Wait, Carolina called on him?
Yeah, North Kakalaki.
North Carolina has like 14 top 4 defensemen.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't have a bottom 6 one, right? That's just that he'd be so unique.
Well, in my head, I was like, when that news actually came out, I was like, okay, he has a no movement clause. Oh. I didn't know that. And then B, it wasn't a surprise. We all knew from his past that, he wants to stay on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And especially with COVID and everything, like the man has his reasons.
Okay.
Like he's signed for a year. He's going to be a UFA. Like just relax.
So he has the no move clause, but he only has a 1-year contract. What happens if Vancouver doesn't try and re-sign him, and the only offer does come from the Buffaloes or Carolinas of the world?
They're just unless they want to re-sign him, he's gonna become a UFA, and I'm just gonna guess he played in Calgary. Winnipeg is a place that I feel like that destination is kind of pretty obvious for him to play in. But yeah, then he becomes a UFA, but I think on the precipice of priorities, Travis Hamonic was just like a little lottery, tiny, like scratch-off $2 lottery ticket. Like it wasn't a big, there was no risk. Like he was there, he wanted to live on the West Coast, fine. But as we're getting into the next couple weeks, it's kind of terrifying because like now Montreal hasn't played their games.
Right.
Because of COVID.
Yeah.
So we fully expected the points to have caught up with Montreal with games played, and then that would have been like, hey, actually you're like 8 points out or 9 points out of a playout spot instead of being like 1 or 2. Nope. And then Calgary, I don't know, got the spirit of God slapped out of them for Daryl. Did you guys hear Daryl burying Johnny Gaudreau?
Yeah,
that was fucking hilarious. The reporter was just like, hey,
here's an easy one for you, Daryl.
Johnny Gaudreau, like, can you, like, he's gotten this far and he's been undersized and maybe give him a bone. Like, he's made it this far. He's playing his 500 game.
The question was too easy, and that he was expecting it.
Hey, Daryl, are you excited for Christmas?
Yeah, like the craziest thing was I heard the quote, and then I watched the interview, the press conference, the small little. The video is so much worse.
Yeah, I would like to play the role of visually. I'm going to be the audio, and it was like this. Yeah. Okay. So, Arash, what was the quote?
Well, I have 9 years of like theater training, but okay, Ryan, you can pretend to be Daryl.
Now I'm playing the role of
the quote. Okay, you can be Daryl. I'll be the Calgary
Oh no, I'm playing the
reporter.
role of the awkward silence. This is a visual representation of audio.
Okay. Johnny Gaudreau, he's 5'9", and he's played 500 games in a league where it's really tough to be 5'9". Do you have anything to say for this man who, maybe anything good? Like, is he a good boy? Would you ever have a beer with him? Is he an all right human being, Daryl? Do you have any positive, good things to say, maybe?
He goes, hopefully he has more energy in a 500th than his 499th.
Dead ass, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Dead ass, that's what it was. And people were like, Jesus Christ. So we talked on the podcast last week that, like, okay, so Calgary now has to be a team that you're looking at. But also, this is really tough because now on Wednesday, the Canucks play again.
Yeah.
And the game is played discrepancy. Like, it's still they can still make the argument that they're like chasing a playoff spot, right? And it's just we have no less answers now than we did, or no more answers now than we did last week, which is really tough because the deadline's getting here.
Like, Montreal got in last year where they had no business being in the playoffs. They're probably going to get in the exact same way.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. But it also tied with the Canucks. It's that how many times have we've seen this organization, like, even if the truth is right in front of them, they don't want to admit it. Mm-hmm. And I think the entire landscape, beyond a few very optimistic people, perhaps too optimistic, like a person who, like, there's a meteor in the sky coming down to Earth.
When you say
and they're like, maybe it's just going to pass by.
Are you referring to me and Ryan as the two?
No. I think I'm
TWO optimistic.
How do I say this correctly? Let's just say people who really care about having 20/20 vision. But Ryan, you see Ryan's eyes.
They are, I have pretty good vision, although I have one wonky eye muscle here. Yeah, there are people that are going to spin it in the case of positivity, and that's they're entitled to that as a fan. But when we're talking about the front office, where they look at one number and it's just points. They do the math there. They don't do games played. They don't do games remaining. It's just points. And if you look at that, by golly, if the Habs lose or the Flames lose 2 and the Canucks win 3, then home ice advantage to all our cardboard cutouts we're going to eventually sell. But all those games need to happen, and they're not. And you would have hoped that the Habs would have played 3 or 4 games, and the Canucks had a week off, and everything would make sense today, and Tanner Pearson would be a Nashville Predator.
But we live in Vancouver, and this is the universe fucking with them again.
Yeah, exactly, Geeta.
I'm really curious about one thing. Do you guys think that they so obviously they haven't played their hand, they've done the week-to-week thing with PD. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they know the extent of PD's injury?
Yes.
And that they know it's much longer term than what they're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And then to them, they already know the answer, that they're not going to be chasing a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. Like, they've already determined that, okay, this is like, we need to actually be sellers. Like, there's nothing. But for, whatever reason, of course, holding the narrative in their hand, they want to control everything. Mm-hmm. That they haven't pushed that out to say, like, hey, yeah, Pettersson's out for another 2 months or whatever, a month or 2 months.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of hope that's what it is. Like, I hope that they have made a decision, and if they don't want to tell us right now, fine. Right. But just make a choice.
Well,
because I think
I would agree. I would think that they knew that they aren't, like, because he went down when the team was bad. Like, they went on this run after his injury. Mm-hmm. But I think they kept him out of abundance of caution, knowing full well that it's probably a lot more severe than what Instagram stories show us.
That's so funny.
But
he's like, yo, I'm on the juice bottle now, and it's just like, what the fuck? Are you gonna play, or what the fuck is the deal?
He doesn't need to say that. And this is a buyer's market at the deadline, and it is a clusterfuck of a buyer's market. So if you can be like, I don't know if we're buyers or sellers, to give you any opportunity to make a move. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's what they're doing, all the power to them.
Well, like, it's not like this team has any advantage anywhere.
Well, the the other big thing that kind of popped up this week was the change to U.S. and Canadian team quarantines. Quarantines. So instead of being 2 weeks, it's now 7 days. So that's why the Eric Stahl trade to Montreal.
Okay.
So what we talked about before, where you're looking at Ottawa.
I got to cut you off there, because what we learned from that is that the policymakers in this country have emotional ties to the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens, and they need to get these deals made to bolster them. So they didn't, if they can get that third line a bit deeper, and if they could get Taylor Hall into Toronto, that'd be really we need to go ahead with the expedited. They can test them, right? They're hockey players. They're already getting tested.
You won't even need to quarantine Hall. I mean, Buffalo is basically Toronto.
You gotta relax, brother. It's just a work. You just gotta relax for a second. It was really funny where it's like, okay, this is funny. This is just a boost to like Toronto, but we talked last week where we said that okay, Canadian teams are going to look at the Canadian buyers are looking at the Canadian sellers, and that's kind of like your marketplace. But now where it's changed to 7 days. And you look at, you take into consideration Montreal doing kind of I love the Stahl move strictly because they were in that pocket where they were on COVID protocol. They had their games delayed. They then have the time to bring Stahl over for his quarantine, and then those games are going to be pushed back to later this year. So I don't know, it's oddly what team, I would love a team in the trade deadline to be like, oh, we all got COVID.
Yeah.
We need to delay our games for a week, but we traded for 4 players though. I didn't Toronto being Marner went to a funky bodega in Toronto trying to get some Kit Kats that are flavored like green tea, and he got COVID.
Those are good. Those are good ones.
They are great.
They're a lighter.
They're amazing.
Yeah, it's a lighter snack. You don't feel it doesn't give you the heartburn. Toronto's doing all types of crazy shit right now because you forget that their assistant general manager is numbers whiz Jonah Hill from the major motion picture Moneyball, which won multiple Academy Awards. He is currently the assistant general manager. He's also known as Lawrence Gilman. But there's a reason why Freddie Anderson is being kept as far away on the LITR and resting up in time for the playoffs. And all of a sudden, Jack Campbell is going to be on Wheaties boxes, and Jack Campbell is Canada's favorite goaltender. They are positioning themselves in the most strategic and delicate and financially thrifty way imaginable in Toronto. So they've got everything on their side to do something this year.
Well, yeah, you look at stuff like this, in where a team is given a set of rules. So in the pandemic year, they're told, okay, well, you got quarantines here, and you can't go do this. And there's certain general managers that look at those rules and say, okay, but. They're trying to find they're trying to be the curved bullet in Wanted, the one that they curve around the piece of meat and whatever, they're curving the bullet. They're trying to figure out how they can use these rules to their advantage in the best way. It's Montreal, great. Toronto just, placing 2 players on waivers to make a little bit of space, and Alex Galchenyuk has 3 assists or some shit. What?
Oh yeah,
that's insane.
All it took was for him to not first for 5 years he was supposed to just needed his room to spread his wings as a top 6 center, but now it's actually he was supposed to be a top 6 winger with John fucking Tavares and William Nylander, and everything would be just fine. Who would have thought, guys? Who would have thought?
Well, yeah, I mean, Galchenyuk, even back in Montreal, Montreal has this center complex. If you go back how long to, Vincent Lecavalier and trying to trade, what was it, an absurd amount for Vincent Lecavalier.
Yeah.
And always trying to fill in that spot of are you French Canadian? Ding. Are you above 6'2"? Ding.
Right.
Are you a hardworking player? Ding. And then they'll give you $10 million if you just match those 3 categories, right? Vincent Donfus, just go down the list. So back when Galchenyuk is on Montreal, they try and shoehorn him in as a center where, he's more of like a winger. He scored 30 goals and he has like a shot. Sadly, not the best skater, not the best hockey IQ.
Not the best face-off taker.
Not the best face-off guy, but
not the
a
best
beast in
defensively.
NHL. A beast in NHL 21. You just grab him for whatever reason. But you look at these certain teams that have a bit of creativity, and you can only hope. Like, that's why I'm holding out hope that I understand injury, quote unquote injuries are the thing, but you got VC, you got Travis Boyd, Petey's out for a while. They can kill two birds with one stone, where they can literally appease
everybody.
They can appease everyone strictly by moving your expiring UFA contracts and then placing VC and Boyd where those movements are, to be like, hey, well, it's not like we gutted and we're playing Jalen Chatfield on the third line because fuck it. They can appease. How rare is that in this market where a general manager can literally be like, you get a treat and you get a treat. Everyone gets a treat. Yeah. Everyone be happy.
There was in the year the Flames, I remember seeing this recently, the year the Flames played the Canucks in the West quarter in the first round of the 2015 playoffs. They had actually sent Curtis Glencross. They were sellers at the deadline.
To the Capitals. The Capitals. And then Curtis Glencross fell off the face of the earth.
You're not the Buffalo Sabres where you just trade any aspect of good quality players on your team. You're to just like give up. You're just trading some favorable assets. And I mean, let's be real here, Tanner Pearson. I don't even know I don't even care about this guy anymore. Like, he's so uncool.
Travis Pearson, the latest Pearson off the Pearson tree. There's Travis Pearson, Tanner Pearson, Tristan Pearson,
Tyler Pearson.
Tyler Pearson. What's another white guy T name?
Tag.
Trent Pearson. Tom Pearson, Todd Pearson.
Did you already get Trevor?
Trevor was like the first one, and we're like, yeah, Trevor's the most.
We're just but yeah, I mean, if the Canucks traded Tanner Pearson, a healthy Tanner Pearson tomorrow, the team would not be affected whatsoever because they have made the necessary. They've put anybody on that second line, and it seems to be doing just fine. So, if they can make those deals. The season is not a write-off, but it would be incredibly intelligent, I think, as asset management to make that deal in a worst-case scenario, best-case scenario situation.
Yeah, pretty much. That's like you. Like if you went out and you told someone, okay, right now you're going to get a second for Tanner Pearson, a third. Listen, a second for Tanner Pearson, a third for Brandon Sutter, a fourth for Jamie Benn. And what other UFAs are on this team? Jordy Benn, sorry. Jamie. Well, I mean, I wouldn't even offer a fourth for Jamie Benn in that contract.
That deal would just go down so fast. Actually, it wouldn't.
Yeah, and also Jamie Benn. He has some opinions.
Not a generous lover.
Jesus Christ.
Where have you been?
No, it's a work, brother. And then I don't know, you look at Braden Holt. Listen, if Braden Holtby, if a team wants like a backup and they want you to like retain a little bit on Braden Holtby, because the next year it doesn't, it matters, but it's like you're playing with scraps at that point. So if another team's like, we'll give you a third for Holtby retained, 30% or whatever.
You just take all those him and give him a front office job.
Yeah, just be like, here, we got you a den for all your turtles. Like it's look at the lights and everything. But if you told someone, okay, we're gonna get all these a handful of 5-cent or 10-cent candies. Mm-hmm. At this point, do that and then plug your team. Make room for Cole Lind. Christian Wolanin was on waivers from Ottawa. There's going to be some waiver movement, and then you can just pick someone up that has a year remaining, plug him in, doesn't really matter, and just keep kind of moving along. Yeah. Because the people that are going to make the difference on this team or
Are hurt.
are hurt, or they're JT Miller and Bo Horvat and Thatcher Demko. And then we also talked about Thatcher Demko, where Thatcher Demko needs to be Vezina Demko. He needs to be Bubble Demko. And is it sustainable? Unless he's the second coming, like he's a San Diego Dominik Hasek, like we talked about.
Oh, what a good LinkedIn headline that is.
San Diego Dominik Hasek.
Oh.
What's up, boys?
I gotta
It's
write
like
that
Chet
one
Hanks
down.
being like Chet Hanks being like, it's gonna be a white boy summer. It's like, Jesus Christ.
At least
all
he's
you men
not
with
culturally appropriating the Jamaican people anymore. He's just being really dumb. Man,
It's oh man, it's just so great because I'm like, the price for having Tom Hanks in the world was having Chet Hanks in the world.
you know that I saw some tweet somewhere where it's like, he says it's that quote, and then it's like, Tom Hanks said on speakerphone on kitchen table, "Oh, that is great to hear, pal. Good job."
Well, okay, I'm good for you. We'll put that right up on the fridge. White boy summer, right on the fridge.
I can't reach my work phone in at 7:40, so I'm not going to answer it. So you'll have to hear that Samsung.
No one heard with Samsung.
Yeah, it's a work phone.
Whoa! You have an Android phone?
I guess I do.
Ladies and gentlemen
Me
of the
too.
Pucks on Net universe. What? No, you guys, you're hypocrites.
Well,
you're both hypocrites.
You know what's going to happen, Arash? If you ever got
No.
a job, you would they'd give you
If
a
I
work-
ever got a job, God, I'm
Arash, when the pandemic hit, Ryan and I had Blackberries.
I had a Razor flip phone when this all started.
Actually, I got to say this. When I was back in Abbotsford this weekend,
Yeah.
lugging a bunch of crap out of my Oma and Opa's basement at the delight of my father, I found my first Sony Ericsson flip phone from grade 12 and an LG chocolate. So I figured I'll use this one to text Arash on his LG chocolate.
I think I can either beat you or match you. My first actual phone was a Motorola phone, but the casing was Tommy Hilfiger. And I paid, I shit you not, like $7 for my ringtone.
Oh, I do that all the time.
To be Dance Dance by Fall Out Boy. Yeah, that happened.
I remember when I worked at Future Shop, they when the razors came out, the hot pink razors, like 4 female employees spent like $700 to buy one outright because it was the hot pink Motorola razor.
Yeah, it's not avocado toast. Avocado toast is not the reason that everyone but Geeta can afford to live in a condo. It's the fact that we spent all of our money on pink razor flip phones.
Let's get into this because we haven't talked. It's happened the day after we recorded last. I don't know. Like so much has been said about everybody's favorite referee. Wait, sorry, that's Westman.
Oh God, we're gonna get into this.
I don't want to spend too much time on it because like so much has been said. I'm just like, I mean, you all know that Tim Peel got caught on the hot mic, and he got caught saying what everybody knew referees did, which is fine. And he didn't get fired. He got banned. He got banned from officiating, and he was going to retire at the end of the year. It's just like them closing Whistler ski hills as soon as
like there's like
spring
2
break
weeks
is over.
left, and goddamn, like for the fucking ski season,
Right.
they're like, we're gonna have to close Whistler, even though like all the Aussie people are packing up to go back home.
Yeah, the mountain bike. You can see the dirt on the mountain bike track at this point.
Yeah.
It's a PR move, and that's not the argument. The argument is that if I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember NHL officiating being entirely good this year. Very consistent, very comprehensible, and fans think that, media thinks that, and it appears the players think that. So if this is your tipping point for some sort of change, for some sort of difference in the way referees call games, I'm absolutely for some referee I don't give a damn about not getting his last game.
Okay. The problem I find with this entire Tim Peel thing is that one of the only arguments that people have is that we all knew this is what refereeing was. This is the thing, though. There is no rule that says that's how they do it. There's no definitive statement saying they manage games. But as soon as Tim Peel was caught on mic admitting that he was calling that penalty, they opened the box. They opened Schrodinger's box, and they found out they found the definitive answer. So for the longest time, referees were able, at least the referees in the hockey world, were being like, wink, wink, hint, hint. Yeah, maybe it exists. Who knows? Isn't it fun to like?
That's just the way the cookie crumbles, eh? You know, it comes out in the wash.
How comes out in the wash. This is the first time anyone's been caught on a hot mic.
I think the biggest thing is no fans.
Right.
No, a lot of ambient noise and a lot more mics on the ice because apparently it's a big thing. So as soon as Tim Peel said that, the shit has kind of hit the fan. Yeah. So now players agree. Majority of people agree beyond some people who just have a hill to die on. Ron McLean, they have a hill.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even going to get into the Ron McLean stuff because it's
just too stupid.
The RCMP will come to my door and be like, "Hey, you talking shit about Ron McLean?" I'm like, "Yes, lock me up." So it's just like games need to be refereed. They do not need to be managed.
Right.
If a team is taking more penalties and they are not playing structured, disciplined hockey, they have to be penalized. Right. Don't worry about the flow. The flow of the game is up to the players. That's the game. If two teams that are high skilled and they want to play north-south hockey, they want to go shot for shot, let them. If one team wants to muck it up and they want to get into the grill of a skilled team and punch Daniel Sedin 9 times in the face without repercussions, that's part of the game. But the problem is that you can't, you need to have the rule book in front of you. If someone is punching someone this many times in the face, you need to call it. If someone it's 2 minutes left in a tie game and someone takes a penalty, they've taken a penalty.
Yeah.
Regardless of how many penalties you've given or taken away, they've made an infraction. Like it's almost like driving, where it's if you run a red light, you run a red light. If you crash into a car, cops don't come to you and be like, yeah.
We didn't see it happen.
It was a stale yellow. Let them go.
It was a stale yellow. We'll let you. The flow of traffic. We need to deal with the flow of traffic.
Go ahead, Geeta.
Well, okay, this is something Ryan and I were talking about earlier after the what do you call it? The ban happened. I guess it's not a firing. But why is it that the officials are not accountable, to the media? Why do reporters not get to ask them questions when players and coaches have a bad game? They still are obligated to talk to reporters whether or not they want to. And so why, you could have your 4 on-ice officials look at a high stick that drew blood and not call anything, and yet call a questionable delay of game 2 seconds left and not have to explain themselves.
In the name of game management too. Yeah, and
100%.
And it boggles my mind because Arash, you summed it up perfectly. If the flow of the game is if a garbage hockey team is going to take 45 minor penalties and not learn after the 5th one, that's their problem.
Then that's something they have to work on and fix.
My other gripe is there was a time, there was a style of NHL hockey before the style we watch and are fans of now and cover, where you called 2 hand slashing to the head. You called butt ending, and you called really aggressive can opener tripping. Other than that, you didn't call anything. And that was the type of, it's they don't need to call ticky-tacky trips or hooks or obstruction this because they need to let the game settle itself and the winner to be determined through hockey, which I'm fine. Maybe when you didn't have any penalties to call and it was the dead puck era and it wasn't this skilled exhibition of absolute talent, fine, maybe do that. But now you have especially in the playoffs, especially the most meaningful games, you always have some sort of what are they calling? Why are they calling it? Or why aren't they calling it? And I think the tipping point for everybody was, I can't remember if it was the Penguins Cup win against Nashville or against the Sharks, where Sidney Crosby kept getting like his wrists were obliterated in the finals, and it became like, what are you doing? What are you calling? How are we supposed to play a skilled game of hockey if Joe Thornton or Mike Fisher are just breaking my bones every shift? And it was, they really changed the way they called slashing after that final.
Right.
And I'm like, since that just egregious, stupid way of example of game management, I'm like, I don't need that anymore. This game doesn't need this anymore. Call the goddamn rules.
Like the rules don't make sense to us watching, because it's so common for us to just accept, that if Team A has gotten 4 power plays in a row, that the next one is going to have to go to the other team, because it's just like when the games are being called by the commentators, they'll say it out loud, and we're so accepting of something like that.
I find myself, you'll be watching a game and, you'll see a very blatant trip or a blatant interference call happen, and there's no more, well, that was a penalty. Everybody has to look, as a fan, you have to watch and look at the ref on camera and see if he has called something, because you don't know anymore.
How many times are we watching a game when they say, oh, well, they put the whistles away? Or it's like, well, why did you put the whistles away? What does that saying even mean?
Okay. I have a suggestion, and I feel like it's going to be a little controversial just in terms of what I'm
robots.
Accuse. No, well, not even robots. Better than robots.
Roomba?
I think, referee Roomba out on the ice.
It would Zamboni at the same time, right? Like that's saving money here. It's COVID times, baby.
I look back at referees like Harry Fraser and Mick Magoo.
Bad ones.
And Tim Peel. Look, yeah. My suggestion, I think, is I would love to see female referees in hockey. Because I look back and the kind of there's a male ego to referees in hockey. It's very much a closed boys club. Referees see themselves as being like this very integral, very honor-based, like listening to Ron McLean protect and preach these men whom, listen, I'm sure Tim Peel's an all right guy. I'm sure these people outside of their jobs are fine people. But this place where it's like, it's a hard job. Why would you? Yeah, okay, well, we might have got it wrong, but it's a hard job. How dare you attack someone? And they've lived in that bubble and that crowd, in where I feel in a male-dominated sport, women can come in with an adjectivity of, we want to just do the fucking job. This is not about us. This is not about how we stand as referees. This is about how we can come in and put a footnote and put our place in a sport that is dominated by men. And if we can bring back a sense of trust, if we can bring back a sense of consistency and stability without the visions of Mick Magoo, going by the net and just chopping his hand, showing a goal because he wants to be seen on the goddamn screen.
Yeah. It's
to take that out and to give the ball to just something radically different and saying, you know what, this hasn't been working. Let's see how it goes. And if the other side, for whatever reason, is a disaster, I don't know, who knows? Then you can move back, and at least the other side is saying, okay, well, we screwed it up once. We can't screw it up again because it can be taken away from us.
Yeah.
And then thus, that ego is kind of snapped and taken away. And then it's all about the refereeing. It's all about just doing the job and calling the book, as opposed to, we're going to I hate this term, putting their stamp on it. Of course.
Hang on, Arash. What are the ways what's the ways a referee puts their stamp on things? They take a really long time to drop the puck. They kick people out of the face-off circles, or they don't call the penalties in the game so that the better team or a team could get screwed over. But hey, we'll all remember that Kelly Sutherland is a great guy.
Oh my God!
These are all hockey. These are all guys that couldn't cut it playing hockey, so they become referees. And so everybody has the same dream of getting to the NHL. Mm-hmm. And when you're a referee, not a player, you kind of have to, make up for something. And that's where, they put their stamp on things, and it just makes everything into an absolute clusterfork.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's just like, yeah, we've been, I look at the playoffs, and obviously people bring up, 2011 and everything, and you brought up Sidney Crosby getting his hand slashed. Maybe he deserves it. I don't know. I'm just a Flyers fan. But it's the same. Isn't that one of the most frustrating parts of watching hockey, though, is like, we'll go in the regular season, and then the playoffs are by referees. They're already dictated.
Right.
That this is what play, like, you're playing 82 games in a goddamn season, and then you flip into, okay, well, it's a different kind of hockey now. Like, why? What? Then why the hell do you have 82 games in the regular season? Have 56.
These fucking guys got to play for 2 months straight.
Why do you even have rules if they're not going to play by these rules?
Exactly.
You know what grinds my gears is that, Geeta and I watched the Great American Game, the big Pigskin Classic. Mm-hmm. And hockey is, if you ask me what the best sport in the world is, it's hockey. It's the one I love the most. But goddamn, do I love how penalties are called in the NFL, and it is by the rule book to a T. And they call penalties, they call headshots, they call pass interference, they call roughing the quarterback, and they call it, and it's by the book every time. Once in a blue moon, there's some fucked up calls, but those happen, and nobody questions it. It's like, well, it really sucks that they had that really good drive, but there was pass interference on it, or on offense, the offense was offside, and now it's 4th down. There's no referees in football being like, well, this has been a really good drive by the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to let that offside slide just because they've really worked hard here, and we want to get this game flowing well. It doesn't happen. And
well, for the most part, the rules should be black and white. Mm-hmm. The act may not be, like, there may be some subjectiveness.
Yeah. Rules literally are black and white. There is a right and a wrong, and that's what's so stupid about this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. To go back to traffic, a red light is not subjective.
Yeah.
Like, you're not like, well, is it red or is it just trying to convey the mundanity of the day? Like, maybe. So I'm just gonna speed through this. Like,
I can't even make the argument because, like, people kind of like attach that old school fighting, hitting, that argument. They kind of put it under the same umbrella as refs putting the whistles away, and those are two completely different things. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, fine, if it's the Stanley Cup final and you are not calling if both teams are both interfering with one another constantly and you don't make calls, that doesn't offend me. But when there are specific glaring screw-ups on purpose, that's when it just doesn't make any sense. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the point of this?
Right.
It's I don't want to bring up Ron McLean again, but this got me down the rabbit hole of going back to Burroughs and Auger. Mm-hmm. And I watched the video.
This is a Vancouver hockey podcast.
Dude,
I mean, it's coming back
go
to
for
it.
So I watched the CBC Hockey Night in Canada segment between Ron McLean and Colin Campbell.
It's
reviewing.
Wild.
If you haven't seen it, please, I can give you my thoughts on Ron McLean. Right. Just go on YouTube, look it up, and watch, because what ends up happening, and this has aged absurdly, is that they go through the footage of the Nashville game where I forget that there's a Nashville player that hits Alex Burrows. Alex Burrows goes down.
All the referee controversies happen against Nashville. I'm noticing a trend.
Yeah, it's absolutely Nashville.
Move him to Quebec City.
Yeah, so he goes down on the ice, and there's Ron McLean. Literally, the video is silent. It's like Roberto going over to Alex to check on him, going away, the trainer coming to Alex, talking to him. There's no vocal cues. Like, you can't even see their lips. And Ron is defending Stéphane Auger and literally putting words into the mouth of Alex Burrows and like Roberto Luongo, basically saying like, oh, and Roberto comes by and Alex pretty much says, oh, just let me lay down here for a few more minutes. I'm gonna sell it. Did they show 5 minutes yet? Like, this absurdity
was presented to Smithson, and we'll show you what we think led to it, and then you can agree or disagree on behalf of Terry Gregson. Obviously, when Burrows went down, we all thought he was dead, and I think the things that really concerned us were, one, the glance that he has here. He'll look to see if, in fact, either Steve Walkham was the other referee that night or Stéphane Auger have a call. This is one of the things referees really key on. Does the guy have a look? And obviously he does. At that point, you're a bit suspicious if it's as serious. Now, Auger's way away from the play at this moment, skating down the other end of the ice, but he's got the delayed call on. Luongo comes on, you okay? And he says, looks to us on TV like he's saying, don't worry, I'm just going to get more bang for the buck here. Meantime, Smithson's trying to argue, I barely touched him. And then Mike Bernstein, the trainer's in, and he's having a look, and you can see Burrows say, don't worry. Has he signaled 5 yet? And here comes the big moment where it's a 5 and a game misconduct. When it's an injury to the head or face area on a charge, it's an automatic game misconduct. This replay gives you an indication that it was just a bit of a glancing blow.
Is it the classiest thing to do in a moment where everyone thinks you're hurt or concussed? No, but is it deserving of a national smear campaign on Hockey Night in Canada?
Oh,
no.
It's an easy fix to this. Is just you put in a rule with 5-minute majors or double minors or whatever. Even if it slows the game down, no one cares. Just get the call right.
Yeah. No
one cares about waiting a while. Just get the call right. Elongate the games. For a 5-minute major or whatever, you have instant replay where a ref can go and just see there frame by frame. They call Toronto. Toronto has multiple views on a hit to say, okay, is this whatever? And if it's a 5-minute major and it's a ban or whatever, they can revoke the ban or and put back ban or whatnot. But not having any of these rules that you look at soccer, you look at the NFL, you even look at basketball to some extent.
Even Major League Baseball, the oldest old boys club of all.
Yeah.
You can review plays.
You have this same narrative that is, especially last week when Ron McLean was on Hockey Night in Canada, and my God, the poor Tim Peel thing. Listen, Tim Peel was retiring at the end of this year. The only thing that I can say about Tim Peel that I might feel a little, sympathetic about right now during this situation is that during his last game where he referees, there's usually a ceremony. His friends and family come and they'll have a little ceremony at the beginning of the game. Okay, he doesn't get to have that. Where, all right, well, there's no fans in the crowd anyway. You're not. They also told you're not reffing in the playoffs, so it's like you're done in April.
So he's gonna get a Blues Panthers game. Maybe not. He's gonna get a Dallas St. Louis Blues game with no fans in St. Louis, and his family's there via Zoom. If that's even like.
Wait, so they are going to let him continue to ref? I thought he was just...
No, he's done.
Oh,
he's
okay.
Done.
So
he's
done.
Like, yeah, they just when they essentially banned him, that just means he's not going to get that ceremony.
Oh,
which I guess I get it for a person that's been in the league, and no one person should be judged by one moment of their life.
No,
especially with something like this where Tim Peel's not the only person who does it. He's just the person who got caught.
That's the thing that they need to make clear, or we need to make clear. He's not the only one. He's not the only one fixing games, essentially.
Yeah.
Or managing games. Fixing sounds criminal.
Well, it's funny you bring up that phrasing, Geeta, but because the NHL is posturing themselves to be in the best possible shape for legalized sports gambling when it becomes legal and allowed in all 50 states and Canada. So if they have a referee that is, swaying the flow of the game.
Deadly.
Right.
It's so.
They
it's
have-
like you don't touch the hen house.
Yeah,
man.
they have to
Don't
cut
do
the
it.
head off instantly. And that's why it was a political move. But I'm like, nobody cares.
But there are other referees doing exactly what he's doing. They just haven't been caught on a mic by chance.
Geeta,
Did you? Sorry, I'm really jazzed up on this discussion. Did you guys see this still? It was like 2 games ago. I forget which referees it was, but they were by the box, and one of the referees just holds he holds his collar where the mic is.
Yeah.
Like that should have immediately been picked up and be like, "You're banned.
Well, that's not
No,
a... Like,
you're on hiatus for 2 months.
yeah.
You take. You know.
I'm like, what are you hiding?
I mean, that doesn't offend me too much because like these aren't like body cams on police officers. That is the one job of that mic is for theatrical broadcast. It's for broadcast that the referees can have their egos on display, being like, so we can have our Wes Macauleys.
But look, they consented to wearing those mics, and now they're covering up the audio for a reason.
All right, you know what? I changed. I'm offended now. I changed my mind. I was watching.
What are you, a third level 3 referee in Hockey Canada, Ryan?
I'd be a terrible referee. I would. I'd buckle. I wouldn't like.
You'd put your whistle away.
I think I would. I just wouldn't know. I would be too chicken shit to call things. And
would you let the inmates run the asylum, Ryan?
Yeah, because I'm a hockey player that couldn't hack it in major junior and midget, so I became a referee, and now I'm also a jock sniffer because I just want to be best friends with the hockey players because they have the jobs that I want. But on that note,
tell us how you truly feel. Jesus Christ.
I don't have a lot of respect for referees these days because they just were given this like cloak of like these are honorable men, but like they fuck over players, they fuck over teams, and they call the games the way they want to, and they have gigantic egos, and even the ones that we love, Wes Macaulay, giant ego, Carey Fraser literally cost the Toronto Maple Leafs the Stanley Cup in 1993. The referees we like, they screw up and they have their problems just as much as the ones we dislike. The Mick Magoos. So they're referees. They're there to call a rule book, and that's all they should be doing.
Amen.
I was watching. I find Jack Edwards, the Nesson.
Oh, I'm blocked by Jack Edwards on Twitter.
So I like him. I like him. And I like.
What?
I do.
Don't you shut your mouth.
Can I finish?
No, you can't.
I like
There's
it.
no way. No, what?
Okay, so I like Jack
No,
Edwards.
you're not going to finish. No, you're not going to finish.
Until he becomes stupid and he says Jake Muzzin or whoever is faking it.
Oh my God, Ryan! How can you like that man?
Because he's not generic. He's not cookie cutter. He is a personality.
He panders to the fucking the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon fucking we're going to donkeys, bros.
So what are your thoughts on Tom Larshite?
If you're comparing Larshi to fucking Jack Edwards,
Can I finish my dialogue?
Are you doing that right now?
Yeah, they're two blowhard homers. One just a little more lovable than the other.
Cap that face because it's mind blowing to me that you just compare Jack Edwards to Larshi.
Okay, can I finish?
Larshi?
All right.
No. I'm Ubering over.
Okay, well that's banned. Here's the thing. The Canucks are off for a week, so I'm watching a lot of hockey, and I'm watching Jersey play Boston, and Boston had a power play late in the second period. And Jersey blatantly trips. I forget who it was. They trip a Bruin, and it should be a 5-on-3. And because the Bruins are on the power play, and because they've had 1 or 2 straight power plays, the referees, this was an egregious trip. And I was like, and Edwards is pissed off. And he's like, of all the times to not, to skirt the rule book and to not, to manage the game, this is not the time. Like all eyes are on refereeing. Like this is not when you should be putting your stamp on it. And I'm like, man, kind of agree with Jack Edwards here. Yeah, I'd be upset too. Fast forward to the end of the game where Mackenzie Blackwood makes this incredible goal line save, and they're like, or no, it was a goalie interference call. And Jack Edwards was like, it's a goal. Yeah, how everyone could see it's a goal. And I'm like, well, that's not a goal. So to get his comeuppance at the end of the broadcast, I absolutely loved. So I'm back to square one with Jack Edwards.
You're back to square one with Jack Edwards, whom if something happens with the Bruins, like Brad Marchand gets a shot on net, Jack Edwards is like, and Marchand, in the most glorious thing we've ever seen since the birth of my second daughter and the resurrection of Christ, Boston brings back from the depths of hell, Marchand. And it's like, what the fuck? And then fucking another, like, a Devils player scores, and they're like, and Hughes scores. And Larscheid, Tom.
Hang on, Jack Edwards' second daughter that was born was named Patrice Bergeron Edwards.
Oh my God, it's insane. Like, you'll watch a Bruins thing. I get it. You can pander to your crowd a little bit. You have to call it right down the middle. Person who does it really well, our very good friend Brendan Batchelor. A little shout out to Batch here. But like Jack Edwards, it'll like something will happen to the Bruins that it's like, oh my God, he's ripping up the Emancipation Proclamation right in front of us at the Garden. Like, what? And it's catering to one site. It's completely catering. And to be fair,
if only it's good thing it's a regional broadcast.
It's a regional broadcast. I get that. It's not national. It's regional. But then you have, like, have you ever seen the video of Jack Edwards in Montreal, like, calling the conspiracy of Montreal, which I know Peter Laviolette at Montreal, typical, but he's just like, the Bruins have played this many games in Montreal, and you have to think, at what point are we going to have respect back in the game that the NHL is allowing these Habs to ruin the beautiful game that the city of Boston built, like this fucking whatever. And
they love that 2011 team, baby.
They love that 2011 team. Oh my God, Nathan Horton. Remember when Nathan Horton got hit and he came back? Oh my God, bravest person. Mason Raymond gets his back fucking broke. He probably deserved it. Mason Raymond, I have it on good authority that he's kicked dogs everywhere around the world. Like, whatever the fuck he wants to say, and we just say, it's like, oh, that's Jack. It's the same shit that we do with, like, refereeing, to be like, yeah, it's just the game. It's
you know
like,
what
well,
it is?
No, you gotta call, like, fuck, no, I'm on one now. I'm so sorry, but how you brought up Jack Edwards? God damn it. I hate I'm time out for me.
Geeta, I haven't heard from you in a little while. How are you doing?
Well, I mean, sometimes you just gotta sit back and watch Arash.
Oh my God. Okay, no. I'm okay. Yeah.
All right. Let's with no Canucks news, let's just hit on we'll wrap this up pretty soon. We're going about an hour here. Yeah. Quick little things to touch on. The reason Arash hates Jack Edwards is because his two favorite teams also hate Jack Edwards and the Boston Bruins. Philadelphia Flyers were down 3-0 tonight to the Buffalo Sabres. They blew that lead in the third period, I believe, and missed an empty net goal. And now that losing streak is at 18 games for Buffalo.
Since February 1st, 2020, the Buffalo Bills have had 15 wins, and the Buffalo Sabres have had 14.
That's insane. Amazing. God,
thank you for that, Geeta. I mean, we love our Bills. We are Bills Mafia on this podcast.
Bills Mafia, dude. If people come by Pomegranate, you bring a table, you can powerbomb me through it if you supply the table.
Yeah, we got to wear a mask, though. 2 masks.
Got to wear the mask distance.
Arash, we'll touch on this quick. If the streak ended against the Philadelphia Flyers based on the absolute drizzling shits of hockey they're playing, their number one franchise goaltender is a healthy scratch just for shits and giggles to see if that works. Would Alain Vigneault have been fired if they had lost that game, if Buffalo had won that game?
Everyone needs to be fired. It's that entire organization. It's in terms of like the front office and the coaching staff. Like, if they had lost that game to the Sabres, it's crazy. I still think they should, changes need to be made. But it came down to if the Flyers lost to the Sabres and they gave the Sabres a win, of course they did.
Yeah,
that's the Flyers. But then Buffalo, we were talking about it. So it's 3-2, empty net. Tage Thompson gets a break. He's at the red line, past the red line, going to the Flyers blue line with the puck, empty net. Claude Giroux, God bless him, has a back check. Tage Thompson is still like 6'6". Backhands it down the ice, barely misses the empty net.
He backhands it?
He backhands it. He's a right-handed shot. He wasn't on his forehand.
Okay.
But still, it's like, you're a fucking NHL player. Backhands it, misses. It's at that moment that I knew. I'm like, yeah, this game's tied. Mm-hmm. This game's going to be tied. And then immediately, boom, Provorov with a point shot, tipped in front, tie game.
It's the Alex Daigle situation.
Yeah, and then overtime. Okay, this is my favorite thing about overtime with the Sabres and Flyers. Because on one side is fucking Ivan Provorov, Claude Giroux, and Sean Couturier. And on the other side, guys, Curtis Lazar, Casey Middlestad, Rasmus Dahlin. Ryan, I don't know if you've ever played Hockey Ultimate Team, but this was like playing a game of Hut where there's one guy who spent like $400 on Hockey Ultimate Team and another guy who doesn't have a credit card and just got Hut for his birthday.
He's got gift cards at Safeway.
He just decided to give it a whirl, and he has his players from his opening pack. And it's I was like, Jesus Christ. And then 30 seconds into overtime, Claude Giroux, again, amazing fucking play on Rasmus Dahlin to just keep fighting and get control of the puck, 2-on-1, connecting to Provorov, backhand, 5-0 goal. Done.
Geeta, I'd ask you this.
Yes.
If Alain Vigneault got fired by the Florida.
Yes.
The Philadelphia. Yeah, okay, she already answered my question.
Yes.
Replace Travis Green with Alain Vigneault.
Yeah.
Let's
Great minds.
Great minds. The Blue Jackets, they're terrible. We won't touch on these because we're getting tight here. But they lost 2 games. I lost money betting on them. They lost 2 games to the worst team in the league, the Detroit Red Wings, although the Ottawa Senators might have a thing to say about that.
Buffalo is the worst team in the league, Ryan.
Okay, my mistake. Well, when they play each other.
Do you watch the sport?
I'm watching Winnipeg Calgary right now, and it's not going too well for. It's 3-3, but I think this goal by Calgary is going to be called back.
Okay.
Quick little tidbits on your Blue Jackets where we go into a couple questions and we wrap this mother up for a week. Patrick Laine has no goals in 8 games. His last was on March 11th. He has 1 goal and 3 assists in his last 15 games. Max Domi, who they made a big deal about, I believe it was traded for Josh Anderson, who has now become a very integral part of the Montreal Canadiens. He's on the trade block again. He's got 2 goals in 18 games. Torts is very open about them playing awful and terribly because they just lost 2 games, scoring 2 goals in 2 games against the Detroit Red Wings, who have no defense. I believe Geeta played defense for the Red Wings on Saturday.
Why, thank you. No, Columbus was never going to be a real fit for Laine. This is a pit stop on his way to New York State.
Yes. This is your Mike Richards, your Jeff Carter pit stop.
Yeah.
And it's
amazing. You brought up Max Domi. Sorry, Ryan. Yeah. You brought up Max Domi.
He has diabetes.
If there was one player I would love as a money puck candidate right now, it's Max Domi
in Vancouver.
And just put him on Horvat's wing, reunite the London Knights.
Hang on, let me cut you off right there because I need to make sure that my second line winger and center have chemistry on ice and even more importantly off the ice. Do you think that they could be close personal best friends, if not best men or wedding party members at their respective weddings?
I can only assume that maybe one day they were or are. But I just think Geeta just said it. Everyone knew as soon as Laine got shipped to Columbus, this is a pit stop.
Yeah.
And we had Sean Mathias on the pod. We talked about Laine. We've talked about it before. If let your 40 goal scorer, unless they are pulling some Alexander Semin bullshit, let them just be the 40 goal scorer and then get 2 other players to be your heart and soul fucking back checkers, because they can't literally score 5 goals in a game multiple times in their career. Like, those players are rare. Just let them, let them be them. And then, Max Domi, again, traded for Josh Anderson. You have to think, like, these talented players in Domi and Laine. Is it Jarmo just like throwing these like elite young players into the Torts blender, and then wondering what's happening to them? Why are they getting blended up?
What brand of blender is that?
It's a what? Do you have a joke set up?
Well, you just said the Torts blender. Maybe they could get like a Barry Trotz blender or a Alain Vigneault blender or anybody else blender.
I would love a Magic Boudreau bullet. Give Bruce Boudreau another chance. I love that guy. He's great. Runs a great offense. And then, so Max Domi, I think, like, hey, if the offseason comes by and, like, there's some movement and they're really unhappy with him, you look at Alex Galchenyuk, and I know Max Domi wants to play center, but, like, some players are just better on the wing. You put Max Domi on the left, tell him, hey, when Bo gets kicked out of the face-off circle, you can take the face-off, sure, and then see what kind of deal you can make there. But that's another reclamation project that's right there, and I hope it gets to that point, because Max Domi, it wasn't far removed where he had a 70-point season, and players are put into different circumstances and positions, and if you put him in a position to succeed and you don't consider him to be someone that's just going to be the guy that gets everyone, 100 points, and he's going to be the Sidney Crosby of your team, and you just see him as he is, might be a good gamble.
Yeah. The old age-old adage or age-old tale, you're always a better player when you leave Columbus. Let's go into some questions here, and then we'll wrap up this show. This one is specifically for Geeta, and it comes from Average Joe. Can you ask Geeta not to dress anyone this week in the hockey pool? I need an easy victory. Thanks. Eyes emoji and smiley face gritting teeth emoji. Geeta, can you
Who's
bench
Average Joe?
Long-time listener, Patreon backer. He is not so Average Joe in the fantasy league. I believe you're playing him this week.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to know who it really was.
I think it's Joe, who's probably above average. He just sells himself short.
Well, Joe, I was about to suffer my greatest loss this season to the Grace is Right.
Andrew from the Bronx, baby.
But managed to somehow scrape myself back and only lost 7-3 or 7-4.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see how this week plays out and how the Leafs do.
I think they won. I don't know the finals. No, they won tonight. Ryan Hank,
my season rides on Marner.
He was good tonight. It was the kids game. It was the next generation game in Toronto, and they had childlike graphics that flashed on the screen.
So you're saying Spezza and Thornton sat out, or
they should have, based on the principles of it alone. Ryan Hank, always 94, asks, would you rather see your favorite team win a championship, but then the team ceases to exist? Have your favorite band change all of their songs to a different language, never to exist the old way, or have your favorite meal become tasteless forever?
So I thought about this.
I thought about it too. Geeta, you go first.
Well, I feel like watching your favorite team win and then cease to exist is kind of like watching your favorite player win the Super Bowl and then retire.
You've seen this once or twice.
I've seen it. I was like, okay. So, no. I'd rather my favorite meal stop tasting like it tastes, because there's so many other things I could just eat in place of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, my favorite meal when I was 5 was, creamy meatballs that my dad would make off the back of the Campbell's cream and mushroom soup.
Yeah.
When I was a picky eater, my favorite meal was a Wendy's burger with only ketchup and tomatoes on it. Yeah. You get rid of my favorite meal, which I can't even think of right now, I'll find another one, because that is the beautiful world we live in.
That's exactly my rationale for this answer as well.
What about you, my irrational?
I don't understand the question, and I will not answer.
Okay, so you're gonna
shout out to Jessica Walter, rest in peace, our Lucille Bluth.
On that delightful note, we'll wrap up the podcast this week. I want to thank everybody for joining us once again. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at pucksonnet.ca or pucksonnet. That PONCA is, of course, brought to you by Ryan Hank and the PP1 podcast. You get that wherever you get your podcast from, wherever you get this podcast from. And if you do want to support the show monetarily, you can head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet, where you can pledge a couple of bucks.
Couple of dollars.
$5 American dollars to be exact will get you everything you need. We'll do 5 minutes for paying, bonus episodes, this whole podcast in video form, which I've heard nothing but positive feedback about. And we've put out so much content in February or in March that I'm actually going to have to increase the price of our monthly Libsyn hosting account. So if you're thinking, why these guys don't need my money, we'll need like 4 more American dollars this month. So if you're sitting around thinking maybe this is the month we're actually going to need it, because we are going into overtime putting out content for you. And if you don't want to support the show monetarily, that's perfectly fine. You can buy a t-shirt. That also is monetarily. So maybe don't do that if you can't afford it. But if you can, buy some shirts. They are flying off the shelves. Let everyone know that you are a fan of The Big Hog, or you like slight copyright infringement with the TSN PON logo. And if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. That got a subtle chuckle from both Geeta and Arash, so I know I'm doing my job right. You can always just go over to the Apple Podcast app, that relic from the past, give us a positive review and a 5-star rating, and we're always riding the hype bus to get you to follow and listen on Spotify. Please do that. Just head over to pucksonnet.ca. We have all our social buttons at the top. Go give us a follow everywhere. That's a great way to support the show. And sign up for the email newsletter. That is my baby. That is my Sistine Chapel that I paint every Friday afternoon, Friday late morning while I do my laundry and drink my coffee. And just like I said off the top when I came up with the Big Hog shirt, it was just like Keith Richards coming up with the riff for Satisfaction. The way I write a poorly worded with half-assed grammar email newsletter to 100-ish people every Friday, it's this equivalent of me painting a chapel in Europe with breathtaking art. So support my artistic endeavors, support the podcast's artistic endeavors, and we'll go into 5 minutes for paying unless anybody has anything clever to send us home on.
Well, Ryan, when it comes to art, there is no rule book.
That's it.
Jesus Christ.